Right, so I thought it'd be fun to step through using a tool called GRC. If, for example, I run the command docker compose ls, I've got 3 columns worth of data here. And if I were to style the different columns or the different values, it might be a bit easier to understand what exactly is being printed, especially when you get long lines that wrap. So I could use a tool called GRC. Right now, I don't have anything set up with it though, so it doesn't add any coloring. So I thought, let's just step through and I'll show you what it's like to build out a simple configuration with GRC, and then you can see the impact on the output. So first up, I have set up a few things. The first thing I did in my GRC comp file, I added a line here that matches on the command docker compose ls. And when that's the case, I want to use this docker underscore compose underscore ls file. That's right here. This has nothing inside of it right now, but this is where I'll put my rules to style the output. So for example, the first thing I could do here, I could actually match on running. And I'm thinking the number of instances that are running would be also nice to color. So I'll start with running first. First thing I have to define is a regular expression, and then I can set this to perhaps a word boundary and running. After that, I specify the colors. In this case, let's go with bold and red. Okay, so I can save that. And then up above here, if I run the command again, and this time I've got GRC on the front. So basically my command will be run and the output will be piped to GRC. GRC will say, hey, that's docker compose ls. I've got a config for that. I'll use that to style it, and then it'll pipe out the final output with whatever coloring you've added. Okay, so let's run this. And look at that. We've got red for running, which doesn't really make sense. So let's come down here and change this to green. Looks much better. So now I'm thinking, how about I color the number of instances here? Might be nice for that to pop out a little bit. So now I need to add a division between my rules. You can use a dash for that. I'm going to use 4 dashes to give some visual separation. And in this case, my expression will be match on a parenthesis and a close parenthesis. So I'll escape those. And then I'll allow any number of digits in between. Actually, I'll require 1. If I match on that, colors, I'll set this, how about to just bold, which I believe will use white. So let's take a look up above. All right, there you go. You can see the numbers pop out nicely. Now, if I wanted to, if I only want to color the numbers themselves, I could add a regular expression capture group in here, another set of parentheses, this time not escaped. And then I could actually, I believe, set this to unchanged. And then after that, I could say bold. So basically, I'm saying the entire match. Well, let's just see if this works. There you go. All right, cool. So essentially what I said here is for the entire match, which would be everything inside of the expression, leave it unchanged. And thus you can see it's a yellowish color, which is my default. And then I put a set of parentheses around matching the digits. And so that first capture group maps to the second color rule here. And thus I get bold just on the number. All right, so back up above here. If I add the -a flag to compose ls, I can see exited compose projects. And my thought there is, well, let's do something like with running. I'll add a divider here. And we'll duplicate that section. Call this exited. And instead of green, let's go with red. Run that again. That looks great. Now, perhaps the last thing here is I'd like to add some differentiation between the very first column's value and the last column's value, especially because this is wrapping. That way I don't have to zoom out to see this here in a nice tabular format. Instead, I'm thinking, how about I match on the start of a line, whatever is there until the very first space. All right, so in that case, let's do, and it can help to add a little note here as well with a comment. I'll call this the first column. And in this case, oops, I need a divider. And in this case, let's do regex of the start of the line and anything that is not a space. All right, and I might tweak that later. For now, I think that's fine though. Colors in this case. Let's just do something crazy here with magenta. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, I matched the first character. I forgot my asterisk here, a plus sign here. All right, there you go. I've got the first column matched, and that's starting to look better. As you can see here, I am not conflicting with the colors for the wrapped line here, and that's thanks to styling the very first column. Now, maybe one more thing here. A lot of other commands, I've noticed this, and I typically copy and paste it. They'll have some block for headers. So I'll just copy and paste this, put this up at the top here. All right, add my divider. Okay, so for headers, they're going to be underlined. And then I'll just replace everything in here with the headers up above, which would be name or status or config files. And in that case, it looks like it's just underlining. Let's see what that looks like. All right, looks pretty good. There is one caveat, and that is name. It matches my first column rule, so I've got a conflict here. And that makes me wonder if I just take my header rule here, move it way down to the bottom of the file. I believe the last rule will win, so let's save that and just see what happens here. All right, there you go. We've got all three headers, the same yellow color, just with an underline. And so I think that's a good stopping point for now. Just thought it'd be fun to share how to do this. Over time, I've been building up additional configurations because I like to have some color in my command line output, and GRC is one of the tools that I think is helpful to do that.